A software company once asked me to be their spokesman. Instead of asking for money, I made a deal for 50% of the company. Didn't pay a dime. Years later, we sold it for multiple millions. My name is Dan Henry. I built a $35 million personal brand, and I'm gonna show you how to make your name worth money as well. So strap in, Cupcake, because you're gonna learn some shit. In this video, I will show you how I turned my name into something as valuable as money and how you can do so as well. I'll show you how you can make deals where your name is as good as cash, how I did it, how it works, and how you can do it too. Now listen, when you build a personal brand, it can get you onto stages you would normally have to pay to get on, podcasts that charge money for you to be on, and get into parties that you shouldn't even be at, all for free because of your name. Now, if you don't learn this, you're gonna keep using money to buy into opportunities, while others who may be less experienced than you are using their name to get ahead, not their cash. In order to build a powerful brand, you're going to need 4 assets. And when you have these 4 assets, you are going to get the outcome of each one of these assets. And when you have the outcome, you will have a powerful name worth money. And I call this the name framework. Now, the first one here, N, stands for narrative. Every great personal brand has a narrative that gets them noticed. Just like the Gary Vee story of being an immigrant who helped build his family's wine business. This is a narrative, a story that ultimately gets his brand noticed. Now, when you are noticed, that is the first step to building a powerful name for yourself. But you already know that, so how do you do it? Most people think that a good brand story is, I used to be broke and then I figured this thing out and now I'm rich. Or I used to be fat and then I discovered going to the gym and now I'm ripped. Cool, nobody cares. A personal brand is not built on just story, it's built on lore. Lore is when your story is so damn good that people can tell it in one sentence and get the same impact as if they listened to you for 10 minutes. Example, Gary Vee, immigrant son who built his dad's failing wine business from 3 million to 60 million using social media. Grant Cardone's lore, broke, drug-addicted used car salesman turned billionaire. Sarah Blakely's lore, sold fax machines door to door and one day cut off the feet of her pantyhose and became the world's first self-made female billionaire. That's the founder of Spanx, by the way. Now, you see what I did there? I didn't tell you their full story. I just told you their story in one sentence, and each one was pretty impactful. If you want to get noticed, you need a noticeable narrative. Now, I know what you're thinking. Oh, I didn't become a billionaire. I didn't create $1 billion set of really tight pants that women wear to the gym and for some reason wonder why men look at them. I didn't build my family's wine business to $60 million. I don't have a story like that. Yeah, I get it. Most people don't. But here's the thing, you don't need an extraordinary story. You just need to tell an ordinary story in an extraordinary way. Perfect example. Alex Hormozi was sleeping on the gym floor trying to build gym businesses and eventually created a licensing model and made $100 million. Now, that story was told years before it got to the $100 million part. Just the sleeping on the floor part in the beginning was super relatable and lore. And look, you know how many people I know that have slept on the damn floor? I've slept in my car back when I didn't have any money. There's millions and millions of people who have experienced that, but they're not billionaires. They're not making $100 million, but they have a $100 million story. Now, you might say, well, no, Dan, I don't have anything that interesting. Okay, do you have something half that interesting? Do you have something a quarter of that interesting? Do you have something 1/100th of that interesting? Because as you know, Alex Hormozi just made $105 million in a day. So would you be okay with, I don't know, 1 million? Like if you had a great brand story that got you noticed and made you even $1 million, would that work for you? You know, because people look at these celebrities, these gurus, and they say, oh, well, Kylie Jenner, you know, she's got this story or she's got all this stuff going on, or Alex Hormozi. It's like, yeah, but the dude made $100 million in a day. This lady made $1 billion. We're not talking about becoming a billionaire here. We're just talking about you quitting your job and having a great life. Like, you don't need that level of a story, even though you probably actually could have it eventually, but you don't need that level to have a great brand story, become a name, and make your way and have a very comfortable life. Like, you need to realize that you actually do have the assets, but what's holding you back is your belief that you don't have them. So if you're watching this right now and you're thinking, oh, this is not for me, I can't do this, like, get the fuck over it, okay? Stop being a bitch and realize that you do have the assets and you're worth more than you think you do. It's your belief that you're not worth that's holding you back, not that you don't have worth. And so sleeping on a gym floor for Alex was not glamorous, but he told it in a glamorous way. The first thing you need is a likable character. That, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is likely you. The next thing you need is a clear goal, okay? And the next thing you need is Jeopardy. Now, the character is you, the goal is easy. It's the thing that your audience wants to achieve that you have figured out or have achieved in the past. And it's whatever transformation you made. But a lot of people forget likability. If people don't like you, they're not gonna follow you, they're not gonna buy from you, they're not gonna subscribe to your content. But you don't become likable by being perfect, you become likable by being human. Hollywood screenwriters are masters of this. And so I'm gonna show you exactly how they engineer likability in a character that they need you to like so you keep watching the freaking movie. Number one, show them in Jeopardy. Example, John McClane in Die Hard. Wrong place, wrong time, outgunned, and freaking barefoot. That's why you like him. The second way is to show an injustice towards the character. William Wallace in Braveheart, the English murdered his wife. Number three, show them doing something selfless. Tony Stark in Iron Man, stop selling weapons when he sees the damage that they do. I mean, the guy literally is like an alcoholic womanizer, and you still like him because of that one thing. These are not random, they are engineered to make you root for someone. And you can take these same elements and make people root for you. So let me tell you how I use this in my own brand. And I was able to go from a broke pizza boy to a $35 million personal brand. And this is one of the stories that people relate to the most. Early in my career, I owned a bar and lounge, and I used social media marketing to grow it and sell it for a decent profit. Sounds great, right? Wrong. During the sale, my accountant who was doing my taxes died, and I couldn't get access to any of my paperwork, my receipts, nothing. And it was like the last minute, and so I had to do my taxes myself, and of course I completely screwed them up. The IRS ended up suing me and literally told me that my liquor, my rent, my electric, like all the expenses I had to run that bar and restaurant, they disallowed because I didn't have the receipts. Which, if you think about it, is incredibly stupid, because how am I gonna own a bar and restaurant and not buy liquor, not have rent, not have electric? It just doesn't make any sense. So I had to fight to prove the obvious. And that's why I believe the IRS is basically an evil Gestapo organization of government-endorsed mafia. And you see, the reason this story resonates with entrepreneurs is because we have a common enemy. Almost no entrepreneur likes the IRS, because the IRS is literally our enemy. And you need enemies in your brand because your audience has enemies. And if you fight against a common enemy, they're gonna like you. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Another thing you can do is share the charity you have done. Now, if you're anything like me, I hate sharing the charitable acts that I've done, because it kind of makes me feel like I did it for clout or I did it for attention. But here's the thing, your audience needs to know your values. And if you're thinking, well, I have never given charity because I don't have the money to give charity, here's what you can do. Ask your friends and family, what's one charitable thing you have done? And you'll be surprised at the answer. Early in my career, I actually asked this before I had the money to give to charity. And I was very surprised what my friends and family told me. They reminded me that when I was a teenager, my grandmother died. And my grandfather was all alone. His wife, my grandmother, had been with him for like almost 40 years, almost 50 years. And it was just devastating for him. So as a teenager, I moved in with him and I stayed with him. Instead of going out and hanging out with my friends all the time and partying, I was with my grandfather most of the time, keeping him company until he died. And it reminded me of one of my values, that happiness is overrated. To me, loyalty matters more than comfort. I'm never gonna be on my deathbed looking back and saying, was I happy? Did I go to all those parties? Did I do all that fun stuff? No, I'm gonna be looking back and saying, did I do the right thing? Did I do right by the people that matter to me? That is what I'm gonna be thinking about on my deathbed. And so for me, I try to achieve purpose and accomplish the mission and do the right thing rather than be happy. If I can be happy along the way, great, but I don't chase happiness, I chase purpose. Which, by the way, gives you fulfillment, which to me is so much sweeter than happiness. When you share these things, it shows who you are when no one's watching. People want to know what you're about, because some people will relate to it and some people won't, but your tribe, the people you want to attract, they need to know who you are if you want your ideal customer. So here's a little action item. Go to your friends, go to your family, and ask them, what is one story from my life that you think defines who I am? These are your lore-worthy moments. And when you structure these with a character, a goal, jeopardy, likability, you now have the building blocks of a noticeable narrative. And when you have a noticeable narrative, you get noticed. So what's next? Next is audience. Now, not just any audience, but an audience of the right people. When you build an audience of the right people, what ends up happening is you get admired. Now, if you are admired by the right people and you've been noticed, name's starting to mean something. Personal brand's growing. But here's the thing, being interesting does not make you money. Being interesting to the right people makes you money. So if you want to sell children's toys, do you want to become known and popular to the parents or to the children? Because if you're popular to the children are gonna bug their parents to get the latest Labubu doll or whatever it is, and then the parents are gonna buy it. So questions to ask yourself are, who do I need to become known to and for what to achieve my goal? Not who can I reach, but who matters. So once you understand who matters, well, you gotta build trust with them. So here's how you can build trust using what I call the trust formula. I know, super fancy name, right? Trust formula. Number one, you show that you can solve the problem for yourself. This is a story or an example of how you overcame it for you. Number two, you show that you can solve it for them. These are stories and examples of you solving it for clients of yours, people like them, or by giving away value that demonstrates you can help them. And number three, and the most important, simplifying the process to solving the problem so that they can understand it. And this is a big mistake most people make. They think that they need to give more information, better information, or more detailed information in order to gain trust with their audience, and none of these things will get you trust. What will get you trust is taking the same information they've already heard 1,000 times and simplifying it so that they can understand it and therefore actually use it. People do not want more, they want simpler. When you can take complex subjects and make them simple, you can build massive authority. Even if you're brand new, even if you don't have a ton of results yet, just making it simple so someone can understand, boom, instant authority. Because you get them to say the one thing that will make them follow you forever, which is this: oh shit, now I get it. That's the magic phrase. Now you might think, okay, this only works for coaches and course creators. No. Let me give you an example. Marques Brownlee, no course, no coaching. He reviews tech products, that's it. But he makes millions from his personal brand because he takes complex tech stuff, gadgets and this and that, and he simplifies it so you can understand how the frickin' thing works and if it's good or not. And he explains it in a way that makes you feel smart, not stupid. He doesn't dumb it down, he simplifies it, and companies pay him 6 figures for a single review because of the audience he built. People that buy those products. People that buy based on quality. Remember, you don't need to build a big audience, you just need to become one person's favorite creator. And the way you do that is you make them finally understand what everyone else made them feel is too complicated. Which brings us to the part where most people screw up, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is the message. When you have the right message, that is what gets you mentioned. Remember, if people are constantly quoting you, constantly saying, did you hear what Name said? Did you see what Name did? Have you been to Name's channel? Have you watched this video from Name? Bam, now the most powerful form of marketing takes hold, and that is word of mouth, which is still the best way to get your name out there so you can engineer it. Don't just let it happen by chance. Don't just leave it up to the frickin' universe. Actually engineer your message where people are quoting it, remembering it, and telling other people about it. Because when you are noticed, when you are admired, and then you are mentioned, you are almost there, Cupcake. You are almost there. You almost got a name. We're almost there. So how do you build a message that gets mentioned? Even if you know your audience, even if you're able to simplify the solution, here's where most people mess up. They communicate in a way that is forgettable. A great message doesn't just simplify, it makes simplicity memorable. So I'll give you an example. When I was young and I got started, I was selling a Facebook ads course. Now, how many gurus, how many dudes were selling a Facebook ads course? Literally everybody, their brother, their dog, and their cat. Yet I made $10 million from selling that course in a red ocean of people doing the same thing. How did I do it? Now, at the time, there was a very popular show called Mad Men about these ad executives in the 1950s. And my message was, look, right now there's a bunch of old geezers that are taking $10,000 Infusionsoft certifications and learning all this marketing and charging all this money to do these complex things for local businesses, when in reality, these local businesses don't need all that. They just need one simple ad to get them customers. And then I told them, listen, back in the 50s, ad men would make a ton of money, but they had to work their way up the corporate ladder. They had to spend years going one floor at a time up these Manhattan offices to eventually be a highly paid ad man. And I said, today, you can log into your Facebook right now, you can click the little button that says Ads Manager, and congratulations, you're an ad man. And when you learn how to create great ads for these local businesses, you can charge $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 a month, and you can make a ton of money without having to go through all that crazy crap that the old geezers go through and spend all that money on these useless certifications. You can become a modern day Don Draper. That was my message. And even though so many other people sold the same damn thing, when they watched my presentation, my online training, they were like, now I get it. I can become a modern day Don Draper. And I made 10 million, whereas most people struggled to even get their webinars to convert for the same thing. I used pop culture to give them an identity they could relate to, and it made sense to them. So here's a couple more examples of a great message from a fantastic personal brand. Dave Ramsey, live like no one else, so later you can live like no one else. He didn't just teach budgeting, he made budgeting a badge of honor, and he built a $200 million empire off this simple message. Marie Kondo, does it spark joy? She didn't invent organizing, she took something normally overwhelming like decluttering your house, and she just made it simple by asking one simple question. Does it spark joy? And that simple message created an entire Netflix show, best-selling books, and a global movement. The right message is a money magnet. It's not about having the best information, it's about having the simplest information that is memorable. This is where you go from being just another expert to being mentioned. And this is where people start quoting you in rooms you are not even in. They start screenshotting your posts, retelling your stories, and this is where the money truly starts rolling in. Now we get to where it all pays off, and that is the exchange. This is where we take all that attention, all those references and people talking about us, and we turn it into actual money. And when you can do this successfully and you make a promise, you fulfill on that promise, you do what you say you're gonna do over and over again, now that exchange turns into endorsement. And when you have endorsement, now people are willing to treat your name as money. Because most people start and stick with products and services, but the real players, they get to equity. So if you remember that software company I told you about, at the time when I got 50% of the company, I had already proven that in the marketing space, I had done what I said I was gonna do over and over again. I was noticed, I was admired, I was mentioned, and I was endorsed by many people. Because I had all four of these assets, which then gave me, over time, all four of these outcomes, I had a name worth cash, worth equity. And so when I said, I will be the face of your company, I will promote it, and I will tell people to buy it. That was as good as cash, and that's why I got 50% of the company. And by the way, it was a very good software. I never would have done it if it sucked, and that is how you will take all of this and trash it immediately if you go and support or promote bad products. So you have to be not just intentional with building your name, but protecting your name once it's built. When you're building these assets, you are in the building phase. Once you have all four of the outcomes, you are now in the equity phase. It's kind of like Conor McGregor. The dude literally has not won a fight since years, I don't know when. But when he does fight, he gets pay-per-view buys. He gets percentage of all the tickets. He gets paid millions and millions of dollars, and he can go and he can put his name on a brand, a whiskey brand, a this brand, a bare knuckle fighting league, whatever, and his name is worth cash. So the amount of money he would have to invest to get ownership of that company is next to nothing compared to someone who just wants ownership because they don't have a name. He does. Now, you will not get to that level just yet. I wanna be real with you. That takes time. It takes time to build these assets, and it takes time to have the outcome of these assets. But in the meantime, what you can do right now is you can still monetize with products and services, because you need to do that in order to offer the exchange, do what you say you're gonna do, and then get endorsed by people because you kept your word and you actually gave what people paid you for. So the most profitable ways you can monetize a personal brand are as follows. Number one, services. Once you demonstrate trust, people will pay you to solve their problem for them. Number two, consulting. People will pay you to advise them to help them solve the problem. Three, information products. People will pay to make things easier or faster by learning more about solving their problem. It's almost the same thing as consulting, just a bit less hand-holding. Tools, which are software, templates, and other things that help make solving the problem easier or faster. Number five, sponsorships. Your name can be the product. If people realize you can reach a specific audience, they will pay you to take their product and reach that audience for them. And number six, which is almost the same as number five, is affiliate marketing. This is where you pick a product, you reach an audience, recommend that product with a special link, and you get a commission every time somebody buys that product, which in some cases can be much more lucrative than a flat fee for a sponsorship. And number seven, which is my personal favorite, attracting high-ticket clients. If you're a doctor, you could attract more patients because you've demonstrated that you understand the patient's problems better than most other doctors. If you run a real estate fund, you can attract investors because you've demonstrated that you can make their money make more money with your fund than sitting in their account. All because you've demonstrated one very simple thing, and that is that you understand their problem better than they do. Now, when you nail all four of these things for a considerable length of time, then you reach the influence level. This is where you start influencing entire markets, all because you built a name that's worth more than money. Now, if you need help building the right narrative so that you get noticed, choosing the right audience so that you get admired, building the right message so that you get mentioned, and learning how to have the right exchange so that you get endorsed and build a name worth money, I will leave a link in the description where you can get more help with that. Look, your name is either worth something or it's not. Let's make sure it is. I'll see you in the next one.